Step on up, sit down, twist off that bottle top or crack open that can, and welcome to Porch Matters. This is Terry Cagle coming to you from my back porch. Yes, sir, yes, ma'am, the name of this show is authentic. On Porch Matters, our saying is this: big issues or just a friendly conversation. No topic is off limits. We take pride in being able to talk about anything with each other in an open discussion. Open discussion is one of the only ways to learn. Your perspective could be changed. You could change the perspective of others. Friends and family, welcome back to another episode of Porch Matters. To quote a really good promo from a wrestler that needs no introduction, whenever you need to talk about wrestling and you need to have somebody on that can possibly cut a decent promo or anything like that, you look to your blood, you look to your buddies, you look to Justin Hyche. Justin Hyche, how are you, my friend? Welcome to the porch. Glad to have you here.
I'm doing good, man. What's going on?
I think after an introduction like that, we might just need to cut the show off. I don't think it's going to get any better than that.
You could possibly try to draw some heat.
Well, drawing heat is a really good idea, but since I'm the baby face on this show, you're going to have to draw the heat, brother.
I can do that. I don't know who we're gonna promo on, but I guess our missing in action that was supposed to be here.
Well, we could do that, but since it wasn't advertised, it's not like I'm not delivering.
I hear you.
So we'll let him slide on this one, but if on the next one he's going to have to show up.
Yeah, he knows who he is.
Exactly. He knows who he is, and we'll just leave it at that. But if you want to start bringing heat on something, I went to eat today, and I posted a picture of this on the Facebook page, Porch Matters Podcast. If you're not following us, go ahead and jump on Facebook, punch us in on the search, Porch Matters Podcast, and then you'll be able to see it. When you order a steak and a steak finger comes out, did you see that? You know me. When I order a steak, I'm wanting a half a cow on the plate. They put something on my plate that I literally had to eat in 3 bites. I'm not kidding.
Better question: how do you eat your steak? You don't eat it burnt, do you?
No. I'm from the school where if I cook a steak and somebody orders it anything worse than medium, I take that as a slap in the face.
Amen.
No, I eat mine somewhere between medium rare and medium. I like it pink, but not bloody.
That's where I'm at. I don't want it crispy on the outside. I want to taste the meat, not the burn.
Let's crack a top. Cheers to you.
No cracking tops for me, man. It's just strictly water or Gatorade now.
No, really? Do tell.
Yeah. Trying not to die of a heart attack at 36. I have a child I would like to see grow up.
So let's hear about this here diet. What are you doing?
Well, it started last week at work. Evidently caught the stomach bug that was going around and got dehydrated, started having some chest pains, and took my first ride to the emergency room in the ambulance. And it kind of woke me up a little bit.
That ain't good, Bubba. Are you doing all right now? And why am I now hearing about this after I hit the record button?
I wanted to keep it good for the podcast.
You trying to keep it kayfabe since we're talking wrestling today?
You got to keep the surprises in there.
Are you feeling better now?
Oh yeah. Once I got rid of the virus, it was a rough 2 days, but I'm back at work. All that. I'm good to go. Just trying to lose some weight. Not, like I said, I want to be there for my daughter as she grows up.
Well, what are you doing to lose weight?
Not eating like I used to, where I would just eat until I couldn't eat anymore. Drinking waters instead of Mountain Dews and Pepsis.
Yeah. I'm 1 year sober on the Dr. Pepper, by the way.
1 year recently? Or?
Yeah. I hadn't had a Dr. Pepper since February of last year.
Man, the first couple of days that I wasn't drinking caffeine, it was rough. I felt it.
Yes.
But I'm over that now, so I'm going to stick to this and see what happens.
So you're going to start working out?
I am. I've just got to find time. Right now I'm away from the house close to 16 hours a day with work. So.
Well, I'm pretty sure there's a gym in between work and house.
Oh, there's a gym at work.
Well, there you go.
Hey, one thing at a time. One thing at a time. Getting the diet right first.
I'll be like a redneck Arnold Schwarzenegger. I'll pump you up.
uh, yeah, I
I'm
wouldn't
good. I'm
say.
good at motivating others to go work out. I'm terrible at motivating myself. I need to get my butt in the gym too.
Yeah, it's time. I'm not lifting any heavy weights or anything. Just cutting.
Well, that's me. I'm strong enough. I know I'm strong enough. I need to get rid of the gut and tone up what I got. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, I hear you. I
I'll
feel the
be.
same way.
I'm turning 40 this year, so I mean it's downhill from there, right?
I feel like it's downhill after 35.
Wait a few years. Well, glad you're doing better. I really am. So, was you able to watch any wrestling?
Oh yeah, I watched Wrestlemania. Just caught some highlights and a couple of matches of NXT. Thanks to you, you told me to watch them. So.
To me, the NXT show was better than WrestleMania. And I know I'm skipping over a lot, but my favorite match from that whole week was Ciampa versus Walter. Jesus Christ, them two beat the crap out of one another.
Ciampa is probably my favorite wrestler at this point. He can go with anybody.
He can. He's very underrated, and if he was just a little bit taller, Vince would have probably already had him on the main roster.
I hope he doesn't go to the main roster because they will figure out a way to screw it up.
I agree wholeheartedly. Right now, one of my favorite wrestlers and the one that I'm watching real close is Walter. I've been watching him for a couple of years now. He's not the most charismatic person, but to me, he's a real old school wrestler. He just gets in there and just beats the crap out of you. I love that.
That's even his look is old school. He's got that
Yes,
old
I love it.
school. He's got that feeling.
Mm-hmm. Have you seen any of the slow motion shots that they do off of his chops?
I have not. I haven't seen
Oh my
that.
God. You ought to look some of them up. His chops are vicious, man. Everything that he does just looks real. He don't do a bunch of cartwheels and all that other garbage. He just gets in there and beats the crap out of you.
What was your biggest highlight of the week? Not necessarily matched moment or anything.
I really enjoyed that match that I just talked about was absolutely my favorite. Probably have to say there's a tie on the second one, and that would be Finn Balor and Karrion Kross. Really enjoyed that match. And I would probably throw in Cole and O'Reilly. As far as the biggest highlight goes, it would probably come later on in the actual WrestleMania show. Probably be Bad Bunny doing a Canadian Destroyer.
That is exactly what I was going to say. I hate the celebrities in WWE. That dude impressed me. I was shocked.
That match was surprisingly good, but at the same time, watching him do that move out of all of them, to me it was just like the old DDT that Jake Roberts used to do. When Jake Roberts used to do the DDT, he was the only one that did it, and nobody got up from it. And same thing with watching Kevin Owens use the stunner. I don't like watching Kevin Owens use the stunner. There ain't but one person that needs to be stunning anybody, and his name is Stone Cold Steve Austin. But watching Bad Bunny do that Canadian Destroyer, and I've seen other people do Canadian Destroyers. If you don't know what we're talking about, folks, it's hard to describe what used to be a finishing move in wrestling, but professional wrestlers or sports entertainers, as they call them in the WWE, have a long history of taking big moves that other people do and stealing them. And then sooner or later, everybody starts doing certain moves because they get reactions from fans, and then they go from being finishing moves to, the big moves at the end of the match where everything's climactic to just another spot. When I first saw that Canadian Destroyer from a guy by the name of Petey Williams from TNA, it was the most awesome move that I have ever seen at that time. And then, just like I said, everybody started stealing it. And now you've got a rapper that's barely been training for 3 months going in and doing one on professional wrestler on the grandest stage of them all. And I just, call me old school, call me out of touch, whatever, but it just didn't go. I just didn't like it.
Evidently, the amount of time he has put in and the little bit he has trained has been a lot. He looked crisp.
He did
on most of his stuff.
He did.
I was impressed by him. I really was, and I'm not a fan of celebrity people.
If you listen to Cornette ripped it apart. He hated it, but
he hates everything.
He does, and
he's turning it into a hack job.
I don't know about all that now. I still listen to him. I hate his politics, but I love listening to him talk about wrestling because he knows a whole lot more than I do.
He knows everything, but he just poo-poos on everything. Let's keep this PG.
You just don't like him because he cuts on AEW, don't you?
I ain't got a problem with him cutting on AEW. I do. Some of their stuff's crazy.
A lot of their stuff's crazy, but I'm glad there's another promotion out there. Gives people more chances to work and everything like that, especially when WWE cuts a bunch of people like they did this past week.
When Joe shows up on AEW, they're going to use him right. Vince is trash now. As bad as that hurts me to say. He's garbage.
Are you sure they'll use him right? Because let's look at their track record. FTR has not been used right. Rusev has not been used right. He got turned into a little video game dude. I'm just calling it like it is. So far, the only ex-WWE person that they've used right, other than Jericho, is Christian.
They've used Moxley right in more of the hardcore spots. He's gotten over there.
Has he really?
He has. He's making some appearances on the smaller promotions now, and they're just going off for him.
To me, getting over is going mainstream.
To an extent, but he's still super over in house shows. He showed up at GCW this weekend. It was a good reaction from the adult fans.
Who's GCW?
It's one of the smaller promotions. I honestly have no idea about it.
Never heard of it. I just
saw where he made the appearance. It's a hardcore promotion.
Oh, okay. Well, that is kind of his thing. I also know that he was doing that blood sport, that wrestling MMA crossover that Josh Barnett started.
They're in with the GCW group.
Are they?
Yeah.
Okay.
Which him and Josh Barnett had a match this weekend, I believe.
Really?
Yeah, Josh Barnett went over.
Of course he did.
I mean, in real life, Josh Barnett would murder him.
That's kind of what I was getting at, but I mean, don't get me wrong. I am a Moxley fan. To me, as a whole, wrestling isn't as over as what it used to be. And everybody, especially during that whole Wednesday Night War stuff, they were clamoring around about how they had 730 some odd thousand fans watching their show. Whereas if you back up 20, 30 years, if that number would have been that low, everybody would have been panicking and firing everybody because the business is crumbling.
Oh, yeah, it's went downhill, definitely, especially from the Monday Night Wars, the pinnacle of our age of wrestling.
And even further back, old territory days. You had numbers bigger than that just in Memphis on every Monday night.
If they could go back to the territory days and get people in the regions invested in certain people like they used to, you'd have somebody from the southeast go to the northwest and wrestle, and it was a huge freaking draw.
Yeah,
just because it was tribal. It's really what it was. You had everybody from southeast cheering for their person because, hey, we're better than them, and that's what it's missing.
Well, I heard Don Callis say this on a podcast, and it made a lot of sense to me. And he's a part of all of that new stuff, and then they're breaking down the door, going through the forbidden door, and all that stuff like they're doing, and I like a good bit of that. But he said something that really made sense. He said people know how to have decent matches, but they don't know how to get over. and they don't know what it means to be over. And I was like, yeah, you're right.
You had people back in the day getting stabbed if they won a match.
Yeah.
People refusing to win matches in certain territories because they would get killed.
Yeah. Rest in peace, Bruiser Brody.
All the older wrestlers have talked about it. Chairs thrown at them.
Used to have
Getting in
riots
fights
back
to
in the
get to
day.
the ring. Yeah.
I still love it, and I still love to talk about it.
Oh,
What
yeah.
about you?
I'll grow old talking about it. Part of my life. That's what I grew up with.
That's one of the few things that I miss about working at the jail. Sitting around and talking about wrestling and arguing about it.
Absolutely. Had a lot of time.
Yeah, we usually had about 8 hours a day, didn't we? Well, we ain't got that long. So, Wrestlemania. What'd you think about it?
2 nights, stupid. It's too much.
Agree wholeheartedly.
They're packing crap into a boot.
I like the idea that they're trying to get as many people on the show as they can, but at the same time, they've got a year. And if they were to do the proper stories with everybody on there, make it a prize. Make it something to look forward to. Used to, the only thing that made it on the big show was the big stories.
Yep.
Give people something to shoot for. You get your story to the point and there's so many people invested into your story and your matches that they just have to see it done on WrestleMania instead of letting it be like a participation trophy.
Now they're trying to get everybody on there.
Yeah.
It's like the matches that had me invested that I wanted to know the outcome was the Fiend match, just because I like Bray Wyatt. I like the character. Alexa Bliss has been just fire with the portrayal she's doing. Edge has come back just because it's Edge. I dig Edge. Really, that's about it. It's the main two that I wanted to see.
What do you think about the very first rain delay in WrestleMania history?
Man, how would you like to be Joe right now to know you stood out in the rain for that and then got canned?
Stood out there in a suit and a poncho on worldwide TV. The next week you get fired.
They've got to stop having the crap outdoors. It just doesn't work. It doesn't have the same feel. Wrestling needs the inside reverberation of the crowd.
On every other show, I'll agree with you. WrestleMania has gotten so big that it needs to be in stadium. It's the grandest stage of them all, man. So if it's going to be the grandest stage of them all, it needs to be on the biggest stage it can be. And in the fact that they've been doing it, 37 times, and they've only had one weather delay, that ain't a bad track record.
It can be indoors and still be in a stadium.
Yeah, but that limits you. How many domes have you got around the country?
Several. Enough.
More now than what you used to, but have to do the same 5 or 6, 10, whatever loop.
That's like when they went to San Francisco and done it out there in the open air. It was such a letdown to watch Undertaker come out and it be daylight.
Well, that was because of the time difference. They should have pushed it back.
I know.
And at the time, they wasn't even doing it on pay-per-view. It was on the network, so they could have started at whatever time they wanted to. I agree wholeheartedly. I mean, but at the same time, the biggest show of the year needs to be in the biggest venue. I mean, that's just my 2 cents anyway.
I don't know if I wholeheartedly agree with that, because if you put it back in somewhere smaller, it's going to make the drive and demand go up.
Oh, yeah, definitely. And make ticket sales go up, too.
Absolutely.
I can't afford to go.
We both went our one time.
Bubba. I've been twice.
Oh, yeah, I forgot. You went to
I went to
Miami.
WrestleMania 28 in Miami, and then we both went to Nolans. You got to see... it's going to be in Dallas next year. You want to road trip out to the Big D?
I've already been thinking about it. I'm 100% in. You got to see what could have been possibly a riot if John Cena went over The Rock.
It would. I think it
would. Miami folks
sitting in that audience. Honestly, if Cena would have went over, it would have got ugly. I think they had to send the folks home happy that night. I'm telling you.
Back to this WrestleMania.
What did you think about Lashley and McIntyre starting off the show with the world title Arguably your company's biggest trophy starting off first.
They're just trashing the title. That's your last match.
Well, I agree with you, but at the same time, the way that they are programming everything and the way that the fans are reacting, the argument can be made that the women are bigger than the male titles now.
In a way, that's true. Now, don't get me wrong. Belair and Sasha put on a show.
Oh, they put on one heck of a match. Absolutely did. And the people, obviously, if you watch the reactions and everything that they got, they were more into that match than they were the world title match.
I think that has a lot to do with who was wrestling, too. They're a lot better.
You think so?
Lashley is one trick pony. He's big. He's strong. He's garbage on the mic.
He don't
McIntyre.
But he don't have to talk. He's got MVP.
But MVP doesn't talk. It's the problem. He doesn't talk enough. MVP's money on the mic.
Yes, he is. And I think Lashley is actually the best version of himself that he's ever been right now.
Oh, he is. He is now.
I'm not that fond of his finish, but, as far as his in-ring work, I don't think he's ever been better.
I think they made a mistake breaking up the Hurt Business.
Absolutely. I definitely agree with that. But
and I don't know if that's them they're punishing the other two for something, because then Monday night they took a loss to the War Raiders. They took a clean finish loss. So evidently there's some kind of heat going on there.
You think so?
There's got to be, because Shelton Benjamin can go.
I understand that, but at the same time, people took clean finishes in the middle of the ring to help build talent.
Are they really going to build the War Raiders, though? I don't buy them.
Well, you never know. They could get a good angle going.
I think a lot of my cynicism has to do with Vince, honestly. I expect him to screw everything up.
Yeah, well, lately his track record isn't that great, but overall, it's hard to go against the man's judgment.
Oh, back in the past, he was money. Now it's just bleh.
Do you think that's because Pat Patterson ain't here anymore?
I think it's just getting to be Vince is old. He's losing. Nobody stays on top of their game forever.
Very
Father
true.
Time's catching up to him.
You could tell that whenever he came out there on the stage at the first of night one and did his thing, he's starting to look and sound his age.
Yep.
It's finally catching up to him. This is coming from a man who was less than 10 years ago was on the cover of Muscle and Fitness.
Yeah. One thing I did like about the start of Mania was seeing all the faces of the wrestlers and how much it meant for some of them to be there.
Yeah.
Like Rhea Ripley, she was in tears.
Yeah.
Bianca and Sasha were crying because of the opportunity they were having.
I agree.
I like seeing that.
What was your favorite match of night one?
The best overall probably would be Sasha and Bianca. They got their work in. And like I said, you could see the emotion. It was there.
I would say the best match of night one was that one because of the emotion. I loved the spot where she took her braided hair and whipped Sasha in the belly with it. It sounded like Indiana Jones or something. I never thought in a million years you could get that kind of a sound off of a hair braid.
That was one of those moments sitting around watching it. Me and a buddy of mine and our wives. You know when you see a guy take a below the waist shot and every guy in there goes, "Oh!"
Uh-huh.
That was one of those moments.
I was sitting in here watching it right, and I was like, "Oh my God!"
Yeah, that got that reaction, and it was good.
But I'd say my favorite match was Rollins and Cesaro.
It pains me to see Cesaro where he's at. He is so underutilized.
I know. And with him getting a win at WrestleMania, the last time I remember him getting a win at WrestleMania was when we were there in Nolans.
Yeah.
When he won the Battle Royal.
At the Silverdome.
Yeah, at the Silverdome. But I don't know. He looks like, and it might just be me overanalyzing it. Or it could have just been him and Seth Rollins' chemistry, but it kind of looks like he's lost a step.
He's getting older. I remember watching him on YouTube when he was still Claudio Castagnola, pulling the world liner off.
Mm-hmm.
So he's getting up there.
He is getting up there. Night 2. I really don't want to talk about this. I actually enjoyed Night 1. I hated Night 2. The only thing good about Night 2 to me was the main event and Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens.
Those two could have a good match at Piggly Wiggly parking lot. They have had good matches in Piggly Wiggly parking lot.
Shout out to Piggly Wiggly if anybody's listening. Porch Matters loves you, loves your meat department, and if you ever want to sponsor the show, I'd appreciate it. I know you just said something earlier about how you loved The Fiend.
I do like The Fiend. That the possibility of where they could go with that storyline is there. Alexa Bliss, like I said, has been on point. She has showed her talent as far as playing a character during this.
To me, and this is just me, that story, and I'll even take a step further. The Fiend as a character, to me, had a lot of potential whenever it first started.
It did.
Had they have used it sparingly, as in like they did with Finn Balor and his little demon persona, how it only came out in certain times or special moments or whatever, if they'd have kept the Fiend part in the back pocket, saved it for later on in bigger matches, bigger times, sparingly, and just had it be Bray Wyatt, been a whole lot better to me. But after you burn a character alive and then bring it back to where he's like Jason Voorhees, and then he gets beat because the person that was with him had black tar coming out of their forehead, where do you go with that?
I'm hoping that they're building to finally do a Sister Abigail angle where it ends up with Alexa controlling Bray Wyatt, the Fiend. That's the way they can go to save that. If they do it right, it could be money.
But the way they've done the interviews and everything, or the promos this past Monday, it does not look like that's the way they're going.
I know. And it's very disappointing. They could go that way and make it work.
I am a fan of Alexa Bliss. I am a huge fan of Randy Orton, as is my girlfriend. But I think she likes him for other reasons than what I do.
You like his looks.
No, she
She
likes
must
his
like his
looks.
wrestling. Oh, okay.
But I'm a fan of Alexa Bliss. I don't know. To me, that story just went stupid. You know what I mean? It's hard for me to wrap my head around a story like that. And I like horror movies, but watching that, it's hard for me to suspend my disbelief on something that's stupid like that. But that's just my opinion.
I would love for him to figure out a way to get somebody else in the Fiend costume and let him show up at the same time as Bray.
Well, they had that opportunity, but you know,
they released Bo Dallas.
We didn't Bo leave, so Bo had to leave.
Yeah. Which I figure he'll end up on AEW also.
Of course he will. He's a
Hopefully
decent.
not with that stupid gimmick.
He's a decent enough talent. I mean, he did really good in NXT whenever he was just Bo Dallas. But whenever they tried to, it seems like anytime they take somebody that's really good in NXT and go up to the main roster, they have to put them with something different. They have to change stuff. It's the same company, and they've already invested money in NXT in character, ring music, ring gear, whatever. Why do you have to change everything whenever you go to the main roster? It makes no sense to me.
It's the same way with the Wyatt family when it come up.
Right.
They were way over in NXT.
Yeah.
It's a good story.
That's my favorite version of Bray Wyatt.
Mine too.
I mean, it really was. I thought that there was a lot more that they could have done with that. Even without the Wyatt family. He was strong enough that he didn't need the Wyatt family.
That's correct.
But at the same time, this whole Fiend thing just makes no sense to me whenever you look at what they had and that they trashed.
Oh, yeah.
That character was huge. That character was huge. whenever his music came on, people used to light their cell phones up, and it was like that in the entire arena. It was like that whenever we went to Nolans, if my memory serves me correctly.
When they come out with the live band, they had the live band for him and Orton.
Yeah.
That place went nuts.
Yeah.
And
it's like I said, it's not the fact that I'm against Bray Wyatt. I just don't like the way they're using the Fiend. And with a monster like that, you just burned him alive, and then you're going to beat him on his first match back.
Yeah.
I'm not bashing the storylines. I just don't understand it.
I don't get how him and Alexa can feud.
Well, her and Randy Orton feuded for months.
Yeah, but that was all leading to Bray coming back. What's going to be this storyline? Unless it is leading to Sister Abigail, which I think could be huge. If they done it right, I think it could be huge.
Yeah. I appreciate you coming on the porch, my friend.
Anytime. It was good seeing you.
It's good seeing you, too. You be sweet.
You be sweeter. Sweet Terry.
That's hilarious. Big thanks to my friend Justin Hyche for coming on the show to talk a little wrestling with me. I hope you enjoyed this bonus episode. As I record this, we just passed 3,000 downloads for the show. I really appreciate all of you sticking with me and sharing the show. Word of mouth is still the best way of sharing. Pick your favorite episode and share it with at least one person this week. I sure would appreciate it. Find us on social media by typing Porch Matters into the search bar. Thank you very much for listening, and you can catch me next time right here on Porch Matters.